All right. Thank you guys for joining us here at the T1D Summit. We're really happy to have you here and excited that you've joined us with diabetesandme.org. Meet Charles Mattocks. He's a chef, an actor, an author, a filmmaker, a dad, and a diabetes advocate. Charles has been drawing upon his own experience with having diabetes to help others. You might say he's a man on a mission. Get to know Charles and how he's transforming diabetes, how it's perceived and managed. Charles, tell us more. Can you elaborate a little bit about, how you went from being this talent in acting and in music and how it morphed your career into food and health? Like, what was this big transformation in your life all about?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, first of all. But, I think, I was inspired at a very young age, and I don't like to drop names, but I was inspired by a very young age by my legendary uncle, Bob Marley. And he once said, if this life is just for me, I don't want it. And, I think sometimes, people who have a mission or want to do something to inspire and change the lives of others, at times you may not even understand what your purpose is or how you're supposed to fulfill that purpose. And, I started off in music, and then from music to film, and then television, and then, started this whole, per se, celebrity chef thing. That was just, something on a whim type of thing that literally my son came up with this idea of feeding people for a very cost-effective thing. And I had moved from Los Angeles to get away from the trappings of Hollywood and raise my son in Florida. And I needed something to do, and I said, I'm gonna run with this, and literally it just took off. This whole, idea, that the thing I created just took off, and it was feeding 2 people or more for under $7, and it had to be healthy. So long story short, that came with sauces and books and things like that, and spice lines, and beyond such shows as, the Today Show, Dr. Oz, CNN, all this kind of stuff. And then I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and that's when it kind of hit me. And I think the diagnosis, the way it happened, kind of really made me kind of have to take the pause, because it was literally just over a weekend. I was using the bathroom a little bit too much and went to a little urgent care type of thing. Mm-hmm. And, the last thing I thought the man was going to say is diabetes. And he said that, and he said, well, I can put you on some medication. And I thought, oh my God, this, number one, how did I even get to this point? I mean, I had good insurance. I was seeing my doctor. I had no idea that I even needed, medication to be, because you have to have some kind of buildup. There's nobody that saw any tests that would have said, hey, your sugar's getting a little high here. So at that point, I went home and literally thought I was going to die. I mean, nobody wants to be diagnosed with anything. And especially if you think you're healthy and fit and young, mm-hmm. and all that kind of good stuff. And sexy, like I do. So I literally just went online and started to kind of research and was still very confused. But that kind of led me to saying, you know what, I want to document this, and I wanted to create like a little PBS type of documentary type of thing, or something or film, or documentary series, and that kind of led me to just so many doors being open, where I started to dig and look and work with doctors and work with people in diabetes, and just was overwhelmed and blown away by what I was learning and what I was seeing, and from a patient standpoint, from a caregiver standpoint, from a pharmaceutical standpoint, from a food industry standpoint, and it just started to lead into so many other things, as far as my involvement in diabetes. And I remember saying to myself, I've gotta be a big face if I want to make change, and if I want to make this documentary be what it is. I need to be a big face in diabetes. And at that point, there wasn't nobody like me, and a black man who was trying to educate people that had a little profile in diabetes. And so it really just started to roll. And next thing um, it's led me to where I am now, and it's been an amazing ride.
Gosh, that's an incredible story, and you've left me with so many questions. So a lot of our viewers are mostly type 1, and there are some type 2, and there's families who have both type 1 and type 2 in their families. And actually, in your documentary, you had both type 1s and type 2s. And so, how did you come to understand the difference between type 1 and type 2? And actually, really, when I was learning about you, what I was most impressed with is how you actually meld the learnings of what you teach to apply to both, because it's really about mind, body, and spirit health for both. Can you talk a little bit about
Exactly.
that experience?
The one thing I don't like, I don't like stigmas. I don't like even labels. And I saw a lot of that initially with diabetes, where, on one hand, when I was doing projects, I would have people literally who had daughters or children who were type 1. And they would say, Charles, I would love for you to feature my daughter because, she's not eating right. She's not taking her diabetes serious. She's not drinking right. She's partying. She's doing this. She's not taking her medication the way she should have. I work with a ton of diabetics that are type 1, and we sit around, whether we're working for, or working with a drug company, and we exchange thoughts and ideas, and we're all on the same level. How they deal with theirs is very, very different. It's like saying in my mind, I have cancer. Well, I have breast cancer. I might have prostate cancer. At the end of the day, it's still diabetes, and we're still fighting the same thing. And people with type 2 diabetes have a very hard way to go because they're not as disciplined, they're not as regulated, and they don't at times take it as serious. And I think both of them can be and are very serious, and both of them are situations where you're left with this up and down. You don't know what tomorrow may bring. I have people who are literally type 2 who are skinny as anything, who they're lost and confused. Their blood sugars are all over the place, and they're terrified, and they don't know what to do. So, I think I learned through learning. I learned through the film. I learned through the documentary. I learned through my TV shows about, what type 1 and type 2, go through the differences and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I think if we put labels on certain things, we only lose power, right? But we only lose strength because, we need to be strong in this community as people who are living with diabetes. And because, we don't have a lot of, attention that is on us right now. There's not a lot of exposure. There's not a lot of marketing. There's not a lot of ads. There's not a lot of advocacy, So however we get there, we got to get there. And I think, it's interesting that when I first started, or even during this whole procedure process, I think a lot of it, I would have people who would write about me who, were in big magazines, and they weren't so favorable because of my approach. Because I'm like, man, I want to kick down the door. We need to speak about this. We need to challenge people. We need to push. But then it's funny because I see some of these people, like at a convention, not a convention, like a pharmaceutical company brought a bunch of us together, and they look at me totally different now. They're like, Charles, man, I love your work. You know what I mean? Maybe your approach might have been a little bit different, but they have respect for what I've done and the meaning behind it. So even like when I don't mean to keep talking, but even like when I came out with the my television show Reverse, which was the first of a diabetes docu-reality series that aired on Discovery. I had people writing about the word reverse,
right?
About reverse diabetes, and I'm like, number one, it was never about reversing diabetes. For me, when I was diagnosed, It was about reversing my mental, physical, and spiritual, emotional state so that I would be a better person overall. I would take this serious. I would look at the options that were in front of me, whether it was eating differently, the way I exercise. I was reversing myself, my whole mind frame. And with that, you can make the changes in your life and take this serious and get disciplined. It wasn't never about reversing diabetes.
Right. That's such an important point there, because to be honest, like it's actually like a trigger word for a lot of people with type 1, even type 2, to like hear the word reverse, because people think it's not curable. And so I love your like new definition of the word reverse, because it's so hopeful. And I think that's what we need as a community, is hope. And to think that you can actually reverse it that way is really a nice definition and a really nice way to think about it. So sorry I interrupted you, because I really was enjoying your definition there.
And you know what? But once again, you're getting attacked at times by your own people.
Mm-hmm.
I was just see, the thing is that to make change, you have to bump the system. To make change, you have to disrupt. If I'm sitting here singing "Kumbaya, my Lord," and nobody in diabetes is going to take me serious,
right?
Nobody's going to. We want to support you because you're singing, holding hands. You know how many advocates in both type 1 and type 2 I've seen literally, I hate to say, fall by the wayside. Yeah. Because they're actually trying to help people. They have a service. They have things that they can do, but they have no support. Yeah. Right? Because if you don't make pharmaceutical companies or ad agencies or these people stop and say, "Whoa, this person's causing a little storm over there," then they're never gonna say, "Hey, we need to work with you," or "We need to do something with you." So you have to do something to make them say to pay attention. So so the word reverse, of course, it's a great title for a series, right? Because it does make you question what is the game plan, what is the outcome, what are they trying to sell here, and we're really just and to jump into theories, the reverse series, it aired and it did fantastic. We took 5 people to Jamaica, brought in some amazing experts. You mind if I talk about that?
No, please do. That's okay. I was actually even going to ask you about the project that you did in Jamaica as well. So we'll segue into that right after. So
and why I created that, because I actually created the first ever diabetes RV testing or educational unit. And I came up with that because I was in Walmart parking lot one day and I saw the big red bus, the ones that collect the blood. And I thought, hold on, diabetes is killing millions of people. Why don't we have something like this going around testing people for diabetes? What? So I literally reached out to a company, a biopharmaceutical company that had given me some money to shoot a documentary. And I said, hey, listen, I've got an idea. And they liked it. And next thing you know, we're pulling in this big marketing firm, Edelman. And it's interesting too, is because I remember I used to reach out to Edelman all the time. They work with, thousands of clients, and some of them are pharmaceutical. And I would reach out to them and get nowhere with them, right? Then all of a sudden now they're calling Edelman saying, hey, we want to be involved in this project. And now they're flying me out. And trust me, I brought that up to them in that meeting. I said, man, you guys ignored me and didn't pay me attention. Now all of a sudden we're sitting together, so.
Good for you, calling it out.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I didn't let them forget that. I brought it up. So while I was on that tour and we were going around the country, I realized, man, we still weren't reaching people. I had people coming up to me who literally would say, Charles, I was just diagnosed with diabetes and I don't know what to do. I'm thinking, wow, is this hot? And even till today, I have people who literally reach out to me, man, on a weekly basis. Charles, I was just diagnosed with diabetes. What should I eat? What should I do? So there's a big serious gap. So long story short, so I created this series because I wanted to reach people in their homes. And I thought the best way to reach massive amounts of people was in their homes, watching a television series, watching something that they could relate to, where we brought the professionals together, where they didn't have to navigate through going to their primary care physician today and then having to go see an endocrinologist maybe in 3 weeks. Then after the endocrinologist, maybe see a dietitian in 4 weeks. And maybe after the dietitian, potentially if they had any issues, or maybe a podiatrist in 5 weeks. You know, so brought all of this together so that it would be one swoop education all in one. And, you know, the outcomes were unbelievable. And it was based on, I like to say, inspiration and education. And
Absolutely.
we featured both type 1 and type 2, and they're both dealing with the same issues many a times. And we have type 1 educators, diabetes educators who are on the series. It's a beautiful, loving story of people who are fighting to get through diabetes.
That's actually one of the reasons we found you. So as Diabetes and Me, as an organization, we offer free education, support, and community. And so this summit offers these talks for that very reason, because we want to be able to reach anybody and everybody who maybe doesn't have access to doctors, to educators, you know, to nutritionists, to psychologists, to therapists, to all of these sorts of people. And actually, I want to ask you, because you said you hit some road bumps. And one of the things that I mean, I'm just going to call it out too, is like, as a person, a Black person of color, like, do you feel that there have been different issues that you have faced? Because, you know, there have been some issues with like the type 1 community, with there being some, you know, some division there, not just between type 1 and type 2. Like, I'd love to like talk about a real issue there as well with you, if you're comfortable going there.
Yes. You know, one thing with health, I haven't had any issues with and remember, I work with some of the biggest companies in the business. And sometimes I have to even, you know, pat myself on the back. I'm like, man, I just got off the phone with, you know, 12 people from Pfizer, you know, and the fact that these people take me seriously, you know, young brother who just got a dream out here, you know, it means something, you know.
You're killing it.
And we've been supported by you know, a lot of these big companies, and I kind of feel like Robin Hood, where you know, I'm not a big fan of pharma. I do realize that they do have medications that we all at times need. You know, there's some things that, you know, got cancer or sickle cell, there's things that we need. But what I'm not a fan of is that they don't reinvest people. They don't reinvest in PSAs or you know, I'd love to see a commercial, man. These people have billions of dollars. I'd love to see ads where it's just, if you have diabetes, please be careful. Take care of yourself, eat right. So it doesn't have to be, you know, just something where those who are dealing with this,
right,
you know, have something that says we actually care, you know. So no, I haven't, and unfortunately, and this is the sad thing, that whichever condition state it is, there is issues and drama amongst those groups, right? I have worked with cancer. I have seen, you know, folks knocking each other in cans. I created an amazing documentary based on a rare disease that my mother has, called Trial by Fire, which is based on CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. And man, the infighting there will keep you up at night. I've seen people literally broken, hurt by the same people in those communities. So, and trust me, even when I first went online, I went into one of those, I want to call it like a chat room, a social room, or man, those people were eating me up alive. And I was like, dude,
we have a word for that in our community. We call it diabullying.
Oh, okay.
Like, there are bullies who we're like, you're not doing it the right way. You're like, you know, like they are ready to eat you alive. And so, you know,
man, I'm not going back in those places ever again, you know? So, you know, and so with that being said, I think that we just be happy, and if you can help somebody, None of us are experts at anything. We're just trying to get by. And, at times people may not know the right thing. At times they're going to say the wrong things. At times they will have no idea. Someone with type 2 may not have any idea what type 1 is. And try to educate them if you can.
Yeah.
That's really the best thing. But no, the business has not looked at me as far as race. It's a broken system that you really try to navigate through, so that we personally can create projects that can reach people and keep it alive.
Yeah.
Once again, I used to see things when I first started this on diabetes. Now, because of regulations and issues and things of that nature, I literally don't see almost anything out there, especially on social media, that is just good advocacy for those living with diabetes. And it's sad, because you got to remember something. I compare it at times to having the only gas station within 100 miles. You don't have to advertise. Big pharma and these companies know that there are going to be people every day being diagnosed with both type 1 and type 2. They're going to need medication. They don't need to advertise. They don't need to do anything to help us. They don't need to do anything to promote the cause. And if we don't have that, then we're really in a wilderness when we don't have the support that we need. And they're just creating things, and I'm not knocking anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, people are bound by whatever their insurance will pay for, and if they don't have insurance, they're bound by whatever they can afford. I mean, really, that's the truth when it comes to diabetes. I mean, that's the reality.
I don't scare off your sponsors over here, but
I'm sure there's people out there that they're nodding with us. They're nodding with us.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you something, that they actually respect that. They respect how I talk, to be honest with you, because in every company, I don't care if it's a nonprofit or whatever, they want to figure out how to reach the people. They want to figure out how best, and they want to hear the realities. They want to hear these things. And that's why they keep calling me back to sit in these groups. And I'm like, they must not know who I am, and that I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to tell it like it is, but that's what they want to hear, because that's, they have, whole divisions where they're trying to figure out how to reach people with diabetes. We want to give back. We want to do something. What do we do? And that's where they are confused. So. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And your next project, I hear, is going to be a show on mental health. Is that true? And is there going to be obviously there's a big, huge role of mental health when it comes to diabetes. Is there going to be a play on that, or?
Well, what happened is I'm taking a pause on the mental health one.
Okay.
And I'm going back to diabetes.
Oh, good. They're in part. I always say that it's sort of when you run into someone on the street who has diabetes and you feel a little bad because you're like, oh my gosh, but you're a little bit happy on the inside, not because they have it, but because they're a part of your tribe. It's like that sort of like, I'm sorry, but like we're tribe now.
Of course. No, you know what happened? At the end of the day, I create these series on a lot of different conditions. Diabetes is always my passion, right? Because I live with it every day. And other comorbidities with diabetes, whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that. And I got to a point where in mental health, you only have a few potential options for partners. And I was starting to get to a point where I'm like beating my head up against the wall. I'm like, okay, I had great calls, and I'm gonna say it with Pfizer. And because of COVID, the last call was, hey, Charles, we're focusing on COVID. Everything is really geared toward COVID. I mean, let's face it. I think the government gave them 1.9 billion. They've got to get that vaccine into people's arms, right? So that's where their focus is. So with that being said, I kind of said, let me take a little pause. Let me get back to what I know. But the focus this season is on keto. So
Okay.
we teamed up with Dr. Jason Fung, who is world renowned in intermittent fasting. I teamed up with Dr. Ken Berry, who's an expert in keto and other areas. Dr. Lori Smesnick, if that's how I say her last name. And we're going to bring in 5 people living with diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. And it's once again, the focus is this time is not, and understand what I'm saying. It's for the type 1, it's not about reversal, but at times they're dealing with other emotional and physical and other issues that make them not, per se at times take this as serious as they should, and they're having
Of course.
but we're dealing with reversal of diabetes, right? Before I was scared to say that word because I felt like I had to have, big pharma support me or else I wouldn't. But with keto, there are hundreds. So between pharma and keto, there are hundreds of potential partners that we can work with to get what we need to be able to get this series back. And it is going to be about looking at reversing diabetes. We know type 2 is a lifestyle condition. A lot of times you change your lifestyle, you change the way you eat, the way you drink, your mental thoughts of this. And next thing you know, you're in this good situation where your numbers are dropping and you're coming off for reducing medication and things of that nature. So we're getting back to diabetes. So I'd love to talk to you about that too as well.
Yeah, well, definitely. So our type 1 community is absolutely also split. I can tell you that probably today, even if not half, maybe even more than half of our adults and even our children are leaning towards keto because they're noticing that it's helping with blood sugar control as type 1s as well. They're reducing their need for insulin. And so, you can watch some of the other nutritionists on our panel and find out more information from them as well about how important it is to sort of look at the food that you're putting into your body and how you can help control mood and health with that. So we're on board with that. Kids should be kids. And so, if it's your kid's birthday and they want to eat cake, there are ways to make it enjoyable that they can. At the same time, you can't destroy childhood in any one way, but there are delicious keto recipes too that they don't even know they're missing anything. And in fact, some kids choose to eat that way because they feel better. I can tell you, I have 2 type 1 kids and they are now older in their teen years. And when they were younger, I could control what they ate. And so I could control their blood sugars. When they became teenagers, there was no way in the in-between stages that I was controlling what they ate when they were outside of my house. So if their friends were going out for fast food, they were going out for fast food. And I had almost no control over what was happening. It was them and their pump and their decisions. And, and I either was going to have a good relationship with my kids and I was going to relax a little bit, or I was going to, lose that relationship. And the most beautiful thing is that they've now come back and said, that really felt like crap. Those, that year of lost control really didn't feel good. And I was so shocked when my son came home from the grocery store with a loaf of keto bread recently. And he's made these decisions to eat these he calls them Chilean hot dogs, where he puts a piece of keto bread and a hot dog and he makes guacamole and puts some Italian seasoning on it. And so he's making these things and he's enjoying it. And because he feels better, his blood sugar's in better control. His pump is less angry with him. He's got less beeping, less buzzing, and he's feeling better. I'm not advocating or saying that anybody should do anything without talking to their doctor. This is not a medical show. But there are definitely options for people. If people are feeling sluggish or tired, I am with you. I am with you on this, that there are options to feel better. And this might be one of them. So I am with you on this. So please talk more about it.
I had no idea it was also helping people with type 1 too as well. But yeah, so I'm excited. We're pulling together some great people and we'll continue to move forward and pulling together some great people because once again, between keto and diabetes and things like that, I think that we have something that could be a game changer. And why I wanted to even pull the keto conversation is because we want that exposure. We want people to either say, whoa, keto, or we want them to say, that's fantastic. I support it. I can't wait to watch the series. So I'm excited. Keto has done wonders for me. I'm probably, I've done it before, but a few times, but this last time I'm probably been at it for probably about the last 2.5 weeks, and I'm probably down. I feel like I'm down 10 pounds and just feeling great and
looking good.
Yeah, good and excited for, I want to stay on it probably another couple of weeks and just get exactly where I want to be. My blood sugars are unbelievable. I'm testing now. It's like 89, 82. Today I think it's 99. And that's no medication. So it's been anywhere from 82 to 99, which is fantastic.
That's great. That's great. And keeping your blood sugars in range is great for your gut health, for your immune system, for so many other things as well. And, I know I've taken up so much of your time already.
No.
Are you got a little more time? Okay, I just didn't want to take up too much of your time because I know that, we do have an opportunity to share links of yours below so people can check out your cookbooks and your newsletter and have an opportunity to see some links to your show and more information about you. But I definitely want to let you have an opportunity to talk about your projects and other things. So I didn't want to, cut you off, but I wanted to make sure that I was respecting your time because you're a busy man. So.
I'm here. I'm enjoying it. I've got 23% left on the battery, so
all right.
5%, I'll say, okay, hey, we gotta go.
So I actually, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because in the culture of diabetes, and we talked a little bit about it, with it's not necessarily like shame, but embarrassment or bullying. But what made you comfortable telling your story to others so that you could share it maybe in cultures that didn't fully understand? You talked about Jamaica, or where traditional medicine support isn't really available. What gave you that that drive or that feeling to sort of have this mission to spread your story and this passion? You talked about getting into TV, getting on TV so that you could spread it more readily to homes that didn't have access, and to get in this bus so that you could test people more readily. What was it inside of you that sort of said this is something that, that I'm comfortable telling the story? Because a lot of people are like, what? I don't know if I want to tell people that I've got this, and, maybe I have a little clout in the entertainment industry. What gave you that, feeling of I'm good with this, I'm going to share it, I'm going to use this as a powerful tool to help other people?
Once again, I go back to that quote, my life is just for me, I don't want it. So I didn't think that there was anything wrong with telling your story. I didn't look at it and say, I looked at it and said, hey, you know what, if I'm dealing with this, can you imagine how many other people are dealing with this? I mean, when that doctor wanted to give me medication, I thought, how many other people were in that situation that just took that medication, went home, and have been on that medication ever since? They didn't get any education. They didn't get any guidance. Once again, he could have easily said, hey, do you have a private doctor? And I would have said, yeah. And he would have said, hey, you know what, I'm going to suggest, go see your doctor ASAP and let them do some other tests. Because remember, he was basing this on a fingerprint test, not on an A1C. So, that should have been, and it should have been, look at these resources. You may want to go to the ADA website and do some studying, or you may want to go somewhere and to this one particular place, or hey, you may want to get with an endocrinologist or sit down with a nutrition, find out what's going on. I got none of that. So
yeah, isn't that a scary thing though? Really, isn't that it's terrifying, really. I'm going to give a shout out to one of the people who actually was a donor and somebody who's watched our summit. They actually reached out, wrote us this heartwarming story about how they live hundreds of miles from the one doctor who is their caregiver, and they have not met in their over 30 years of being a diabetic anybody else with it. They feel so alone. Their doctor knows nothing about it. They barely know anything about their pump. They're petrified of going low. And even their spouse knows very little about it because they're just living it on their own. And so, the message that you're sending and, and what we're doing is so important for this very reason. So I hope, I want you to keep continuing what you're doing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And, we just got to keep doing this. And I think, the various things you're doing are so important too, like, the cooking and the healthy eating part too. So not just the education, but actually like giving those resources as well, because, maybe we're not doctors. We can make connections, like you said, your next series is going to connect with nutritionists and doctors, but, you've got things tasting good. That's important too, because if it doesn't taste good, it's hard to sell. So, what did you learn as a chef about the importance of like cooking and eating healthy and how to sort of make it taste good so people wanted to make that change in their lifestyle? Like, did you have resistance?
What's interesting? Keto has been unbelievable. I mean, literally this morning I made 3 eggs, kind of sunny side up, a little bit flipped over, with a little dash of avocado or guacamole, and man, what a breakfast! I mean, you're not missing out on anything. Last night I had steak and eggs, so you can still eat the same way. I mean, obviously I'm cutting out the carbs, I'm cutting out the sugar, cutting out the starch, and it's the weight is coming off. I'm feeling great. The blood sugars are fantastic. There's so many things that you can make by just changing up, even just some spices. Obviously, me being from the Caribbean, I use curry. I use different, spices, cumin and paprika and things like that to just change up a dish. I think a lot of times we are so stuck in the same dishes. Our food library is pretty much the same all week. Maybe a little chicken if you're feeling good, a little fish and maybe a little steak or something like that, and and we make it pretty much the same way. I think once you get out and maybe go to some foreign markets and grab some other ingredients that could take that same chicken or that same steak and make it, just by putting a little bit of different spices, it could be amazing as far as being tasty. But no, I'm actually I saw something yesterday. I think it was from Keto Kitchen, and man, they had this almost looked like a lava cake. Oh my goodness, I want to call them just to get that thing, because I'm like, how is that keto friendly? I mean, it looks unbelievable.
Well, I myself am gluten-free because I have to be for health reasons, because of, for celiac reasons. But so I have been gluten-free. And so that sort of tilted our household towards, having less gluten in the house, which has made some of that transition towards eating less of that easier. And so when you talk about that lava cake, and I have been able to like slip a few of these kind of recipes over and people haven't noticed what is and what isn't. So we actually just made some amazing ravioli and nobody in the house knew that it was made from almond flour. And I stuffed it with, ricotta cheese and with ground beef and with Parmesan, and I did put some spinach in there. It was so good, and nobody could even tell. And, sometimes the kids question me. They're like, did you? And because now they're suspicious. But if they can't tell, they're just as happy to eat it. And it's helping all of us, because at the end of the day, we fear that, that we're, when we're talking about kids, and there's a lot of parents of kids with diabetes, because a lot of the people who've come here found out about this summit through Poked, which is our support group, which we have over 12,000 people in. And so shout out to our Poked families. But they're scared of their impressionable kids and about, thinking that it's a diet, but it's actually really, this lifestyle change. And I can tell you that if we're letting our kids eat whatever they want and their blood sugars are going all over the place and they're feeling bad and they're gaining weight, I'm telling you from experience with my kids that when they get to their later teen years, they're not going to be happy that they're overweight and that they feel like crap. They're going to like say, I wish you held me to eating, you know, the brown rice, the chicken, and the vegetables like you had when you had control over me. It happened in our house for real. So, and now they're choosing to go keto to get that control back in their life. So, and intermittent fasting you mentioned too, with safety and with doctors' recommendations, again, you know, it can be done safely for adult type 1s that are out there. You know, definitely there are books that can advise you. And then when your program comes out, I'm sure that you'll be able to give more information and direction. And then we'll add those new links down below as well when that show comes out, so that we'll have information directly from Charles when that show comes out as well here. So we'll keep everybody updated. Maybe we'll have you back when that show comes out to have you talk more about that as well. But there's definitely reason for people to look into new ways of getting healthier and to be less afraid of that word, because truthfully, when I was gonna, you know, that word reversed scared me. It did. I think I even said to you, I was like, you know, I don't know about saying that word reversed here because it's kind of a trigger word for everybody. I think I did even say that to you when we were talking initially. And I even had like this little thing I was going to say, like, please don't turn off right now. Don't be scared of that word. He's going to, you know, but knowing that it's something that applies to all of us. It's changing our mindset. It's changing our, you know, our diet. It's changing all of these things. Anyone, type 1 or not, type 2 or not, we could all use a little bit of that in our life right now. Like, let's just look at 2020 and say, like, let's reverse this year. And, you know.
The definition of reverse, it means to slow down the forward progress. You know, so when we look at, especially, you know, the complications of diabetes, it's really trying to figure out how to slow those things down. So we don't, you know, 80% of diabetics die from heart disease, you know, so it's really just trying to, you know, and on the show, you know, the first season, like I said, we've had, you know, people lose upwards of 350 pounds combined.
Wow.
We had Jerome, who was a type 2 diabetic that was insulin dependent, come off of insulin by his own doctor's orders. We've had people who were in wheelchairs, you know, get up out of the wheelchair, and now they're walking around. They've lost upwards of, you know, 70, 80 pounds, and, you know, their life is different. They're dating again, and all of them are doing fantastic. The only one who didn't do good, unfortunately, was the one who came there with a very poor attitude. He had several amputations. He had, you know, heart issues and things like that. He came there smoking cigarettes, if you see the series. Mm-hmm. And, you know, months later, after he got home, he passed away from diabetes complications, unfortunately.
That's very sad.
Serious, right?
Yeah.
He was on the show, went to do fantastic and lose a ton of weight. Her life is totally different now.
How did the type 1 diabetic do that was on the island with you guys?
Oh, well, she is a diabetes educator.
Okay.
There's one who was a diabetes educator. And of course, you know, she's still, you know, rocking away, trying to, you know, get by each day. Jerome was insulin dependent. And I think Roger, who passed away, I think he was type 1. Or it might have been type 2.
The type 2 insulin dependent.
So yeah, and then like I said, this season, you know, for that one type 1 diabetic, it's not going to be per se about, once again, trying to reverse any diabetes. It's maybe working more with the mental health aspect of things, or where and why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I deal with that either. I'm going to bring back probably one of the guests who was called Rev, who was like a father to me, and you know, he kind of was halfway and on the show. You could see he wasn't taking it too serious, and we're still close. We talk every day, and you know, he's having complications of diabetes, and I can see it, and he sent me some video eating some food, some good Jamaican food. Somebody sent him like a 3-minute video, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, he just doesn't get it. I mean, he just doesn't get it. He's literally gonna die from these complications. He's having a bunch of lows and a bunch of highs, and his sugar's all over the place. He's on a ton of medication, and he's sitting there eating rice and carrots and a ton of things with salt that go against his blood pressure, that he's dealing with high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So it's once again, why don't we take this serious? This is your life. He just turned 60 years old. I can't see him living another 10, 15 years like this.
Yes, it's very, very sad. It's a parent's biggest nightmare. For me, I don't want to even imagine those things happening to my kids, which is why I'm thankful that they're turning it around on their own. And now I can't tell you what's going to happen in their college years or what's going to happen. All I can hope is that, we prepare them with enough information and education that they choose to make these decisions because of the way that they feel, and that they know the importance of, this on their immune system and on their heart health and on their overall, mental health. So I'm so thankful that you do what you do to help, pioneer and educate and inform and have shows like this on television, because without it, there isn't enough. There's not enough information, because sometimes these television shows that do throw in the type 1 person or type 2 person, they get it wrong. They're like, oh my God, the diabetic is down. Quick, give them more insulin. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna give you a quick story, if I can.
Absolutely.
Just to show you, the mindset. I was working with a pharma company that contact one of the big ones, and so I've been a patient advocate per se with them for the past year. And they fly me in, they fly a bunch of us in, sit down, go over, all the stuff. I would say on this whole activation, if they didn't spend $1 million, they flew in a crew from Europe to film it. So I don't know why they couldn't get a crew out here to do it. And one of the last phone calls I had, this is probably about 10, 11, 12 months later. Mm-hmm. It was, Charles, we're looking at putting pamphlets and things in doctors' offices. I said, you can't be serious. And doing ADA events. And I'm thinking, we've been doing this for a whole year, and the best you could think of is putting pamphlets and things like this and collateral materials in doctor's office and doing more ADA events. So, and I actually sent him an email, because I said, hey, listen, I've got an amazing television show that you guys can get behind. I'm not gonna beat around the bush on that. It's about inspiration and education, and not even at that point, I was even gonna say it's not about reversing anything. I just wanted to do another season that could just be the same way, inspiration and education and giving tools. And I literally wrote them back. I said, listen, I'm going to have to pull out from this. Wish you guys the best, but I can't be associated with this foolishness. If we want to make change, I'm sitting on change. Or it doesn't have to, even if it's not this, it's Charles, let's come up with something that we could do together that you may have a good idea to do. Yeah. But I can't mess around with a year in and you want to put pamphlets in doctor's office. That has been done and finished. Yeah. And it's not even just me. There are a lot of other type 1 and type 2 advocates who have great platforms. I'm sure your organization could use $500,000 out of that $1 million of foolishness they didn't spend it, to put that towards something that could make more awareness. Absolutely. So, absolutely. I mean, 30% of people who are newly diagnosed are already in DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. And every day, more and more people and children are being diagnosed with diabetes, type 1 and type 2. And in the United States,
if we even just, make that pocket smaller, it's every second people are being diagnosed. And in my own state, it's, a handful every day. So the numbers are growing, and with COVID, people don't know, how it's affecting the immune system. And so, it's more imperative now than ever to start having this conversation be louder and louder and more informative, because if people don't know, and if people are thinking that their children are getting sick with a cold, a flu, or COVID, and they're keeping them protected and they're keeping them home, and they don't know that it's diabetes and that kid has elevated blood sugars and that's why they're lethargic and vomiting and all these other things, their child can die. And, the people that are watching this, they've gone through it, or maybe they know somebody who's gone through it, or they love somebody who's gone through it. But if we're the voices who spread this, and my organization helps to spread this, there are other organizations who help to spread this information and knowledge to stop the madness. But absolutely, we all need to have the support of the big, these big organizations to help fund us, because it's people who make donations and who choose to do so for free information like this is how we run as an organization. That's all we do. Everybody who works here is 100% volunteer. All the money goes back into what we do. Nobody takes a penny. So this is what we do. We do it because we love it. We do it because we feel like the information has to be shared. And that's what we do. We provide books to all the newly diagnosed kids in the hospitals. And we have a free online download for those who aren't in the hospitals, where we provide those books. And we want to make sure that we're, sharing information. And we'd be happy to give some of those to you if there's, kids in Jamaica or wherever you're going, or we're in Florida, wherever you are, however you want to. I'd be happy to send you those to share more information as well. But yeah, I love that you continue to share information. And if there's any way we can help you, let us know. But yeah, it's been such a pleasure to have you, Charles. I love that you have 2 cookbooks that are out there right now, right? You have, you have the...
Actually, I have 3.
You have 3?
One is with the American Diabetes Association, and then one is a children's book on diabetes. So yeah, there's 3 cookbooks, and the other one is with Meredith. It's a healthy cookbook, but I really wasn't into diabetes per se when I made that one. So, the ADA one and the other children's book. Well,
healthy cookbooks are good for anybody. So
yeah.
I think that's, at the end of the day, healthy is healthy. People who have been at diabetes for a long time know how to do carb calculations. If it's not in there, that's okay. We can swag it, which is silly, wild ASS gas is what we call it over on the parent boards. We swag it. So, but we can figure that out. So we'll have links to those as well. And if you ever want to come back and do a cooking demo for us, we'd love to have that as well. So
that ravioli that you made, I'm on the way. That's good. You throw in some lava cakes, some sugar-free, carb-free lava cake, then I'm definitely coming back.
Yeah, with some dark chocolate, dark cocoa nib. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. We'll find some right now.
All right. Yes, it's a deal. It's a deal. We'll do a cooking show together. We'll.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much. Be well, take care, and good luck with your show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.